What's going on, everybody? This is the blockchain backer bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we'll be taking a peek over here at the crypto market. We'll take a peek here at the Bitcoin price action. Noticed a couple of different things on here I wanted to point out to you that I saw here on the Bitcoin price chart. As we talked yesterday, we could see that the price was starting to poke below trend over here. We know we've seen things like this happen before. It's what led to additional legs down in the market. Things started getting pretty sloppy in here. Well, we could say things are getting pretty sloppy in here. It was really interesting yesterday. As you guys know, the CPI inflation numbers were released yesterday. The entire cryptocurrency market closed green. So we see these numbers right here. Everything was up more than this yesterday by the time the day closed. I saw some stuff that was up like 18% by the time the day closed over here on this list, 14%, 13%. Probably wouldn't have expected Bitcoin having this big green bar as the daily candle yesterday after what was happening throughout the whole day. But the bigger question emerges, is this a bear flag that is going to eventually break down? Well, just based on how it's looking like, it's looking similar to how these bear flags have looked to break down. So absolutely zero signs in here that this thing is going to be breaking up, and it's starting to do similar things to what we saw happen before it did break down. Really, once it kind of took out this low over here, that was kind of the telltale sign that it was on its way. Looking over here at Ethereum, you can see trend has broken, has not gotten back through it as well. So we're seeing it over here on Ethereum, even though Ethereum is still holding levels right in here, but we see that showing up in there. But let's talk about what would happen if it did, because it seems like we're at kind of like this really critical support level for Bitcoin with where it's actually at right now, with this low that it's got here at 17,613. It actually seems like if we go below there, it's showing a story of a lot of worser things happening. The first thing we'll take a look at here is the Bitcoin market cap. So the current level where Bitcoin has held itself so far has been on top of the 2017 all-time high for the Bitcoin price chart or the Bitcoin market cap. Pretty historical level of where Bitcoin is at currently right now. I know a lot of people don't like to take into consideration market caps, but this was actually the chart that was able to give us the nailing of the top for Bitcoin back in 2021. So breaking below the current price level that we're at right now would also break below the market cap of Bitcoin from 2017's all-time high. So currently it's holding it. Another thing to look at is when we had the C19 sell-off that happened back in here, it was interesting where Bitcoin found its bottom at. For those who were there during that time frame, it wasn't like there was perfect gap closures that happened in here for Bitcoin when it came back down to close itself out. The same goes over here on the actual Bitcoin price chart, looking over here at Coinbase to see the level at which it ended up falling to was right down here at $3,858. Still leaving some gaps down here below that remained unchecked for Bitcoin. So it was an interesting level to just say, hey, that's where we're stopping at in here. And we just started a whole bull run, right? And it's been a while since we've looked at this, but we've also measured Bitcoin versus gold. And gold, when it actually did end up having the C19 sell-off in here, it was a perfect closure of the gaps. When we measure Bitcoin in gold, precise closure of all the gaps that happened in here, and then boom, Bitcoin was able to march on its way up and away. And looking at where Bitcoin is at currently right now, if you were to do some type of Elliott wave count on Bitcoin and gold right in here, you'd have a 1, 2, 3 with a double top. And then where do you come back down for 4? You come back to 4 at the height of wave 1, and then you go on for 5. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean you'd get an all-time high here for Bitcoin USD, but Bitcoin versus gold, which we can see gold is looking pretty ugly and starting to look almost just like what Bitcoin's top looked like. And we saw how copper ended up playing out here relatively quickly over the course of the last month. So if there's a big fall heading in here for gold, and if Bitcoin just stayed perfectly still, well, this chart would move up because gold is moving down and Bitcoin staying still. This in this retrospect, this is what would happen with this chart if gold fell and Bitcoin stayed still. But for Bitcoin to break down to new levels would end up taking out that one as well. So if you're looking for a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, you see where you're at right in here. This is a big major wave that happened here. You're at the height of that wave on Bitcoin versus gold, in which this was also the chart that did end up closing the gaps in here for the C19 sell-off. But one other thing as well is, on this channel, I love Fibonacci's, man. That's like my thing. I have more faith in the Fibonacci's than really any other indicator that exists on the charts. When the whole world was screaming extended cycles and all this other kind of narrative stuff to say we're going to go higher, it's like, well, look, we're at the Fibonacci's, right? So not only does the market cap of Bitcoin sit right there at its all-time high, but if you measure out how far has this pullback been since the C19 sell-off that happened in there, we're at our last Fibonacci retracement level. So I'll even take that off there. You could see we're still within Fibonacci retracements here from the actual bull run that took place starting when C19 started off. You could see exactly where we've gotten to. We've gotten right back down to the last fib. So what are all these things we're talking about? We're talking about if you go down one more level, you lose like an Elliott wave count on Bitcoin versus gold. You also lose the 2017 all-time high. And then you also lose the last Fibonacci retracement level. So you could view this as being like, hey, is this like the most supportive level that there is? Is this an opportunity to buy? Or is it going to break through and break all these things violently and cause bigger problems? Because we also know the altcoin market cap as well sits on top of the 200-week moving average right back here at the 2018 all-time high. So one more leg down does what? It takes out the moving averages. It takes out the Fibonacci retracement levels. It takes out the previous all-time high and takes out the height of the wave from back in June for the Bitcoin versus gold price chart. So you have a lot of reasons here to scream that this is actually a very supportive level. But we also have a lot of reasons to say if those things broke down, things could probably get far worse. But really the astonishing one for me, and I don't know why it took me this long to discover it, considering I'm loving fib so much, is that right there. How we could actually be right back at our last fib level here for what the whole retracement is since C19. So C19 sell-off, rise all the way up. Here we are. We're back at the 786 Fibonacci retracement level. It's the last one. So point being, if we do end up breaking down and setting new lows, it'll probably be pretty wild, pretty aggressive. We'll probably see the altcoin market go down with it really hard too, because there's so many levels that are important right here that you can no longer say that this is just a retracement move that happened from the entire run from C19. You can no longer say it's holding the previous all-time high or any type of Elliott wave count over there on Bitcoin versus gold. So it would probably get pretty aggressive if we do poke below those. So it looks like a really supportive level. It looks really supportive. Like this has potential to be bottom where we're at. I have no clue if it is. If it breaks through it, then it breaks through it. It's probably going to get really aggressive, but you can see all the different things that stack up to say this could be it. Especially because it's at a Fibonacci retracement level and it's back at the 2017 all-time high. You have both those things at the exact same place. It's a little ironic how that can show up at the exact same spot right there. So no question, this thing looks bear flaggish. This thing looks just like the last ones that we've had in here. And how have each of them played out? They've each played out by breaking lower. But break lower, we see what happens here in the market that is probably setting us up for even more aggressive selling afterwards. So what's also interesting about the level that we're at is the level of actual oversold that we're at, right? So we're incredibly oversold right here. We're the most oversold in history here on the Bitcoin market cap chart. And that shows up right back at the all-time high. That shows up at the last Fibonacci retracement level. So there's a big case to say that is the bottom right there. But I would be naive to sit here and say this doesn't look familiar from what we've been seeing happening in here before. But we can clearly see what happens if you take this level out in here is you lose fibs, you lose all-time highs, you lose Elliott wave structures, you lose a lot of different things if that level gets taken out, including the altcoin market's 200-week moving average and all-time high. Just throwing that out there. If it gets taken out, it looks like it would probably get pretty ugly out here. So we definitely have something that looks like a bear flag happening over here on Bitcoin, and all these bear flags have led to aggressive price action to move to the downside. But at the exact same time, we're at the last fib. So is the market kind of doing one of those things like, here, I'll show you how all these things eventually play out. Everybody pile into it in the wrong way, and then whap, it wrong foots you, right? There's no question you can see where we're at. If that's a pullback of the entire run, we're at the last fib. There is support here to the left. There is support here to the left. Kind of one of those moments where who's got the biggest kahunas to take a shot at it. But, if it broke below the last fib, then, holy cow, where are we going? But pretty incredible to see that also lining up there. And I didn't notice that. We've definitely been looking at it in comparison to the previous all-time high for all this time in here, hitting it right on the button. But also at the exact same time, it's the last Fibonacci retracement level of the entire run. So will it hold? We will find out. We'll also move over here to the stock market really quick just to keep an eye on the macro world at the same time. The stock market just opened. Dow Jones down 556 points. It has taken out, we've been following this structure in here, just like Bitcoin, right? From the time perspective that we've been in here, this has been since mid-June. We can see right here now that the Dow Jones just took out that level right in there with today's opening. Now, the Dow Jones also, and the stock market, other indices as well, are also sitting on top of these 200-week moving averages and sitting on top of their February 2020 highs as well. So those haven't broken at this time, still on top of the moving averages. These things break. That's probably telling the whole story of what's going to happen over there for Bitcoin as well. But here we go, big moment as the US dollar currency index just has no quit in it, just totally parabolic at this point. So what's been kind of amazing with the US dollar currency index is this whole time that it's been marching up in here, we've stayed within this area right here the whole time that this has happened. So we'll see if that dollar is just going to keep ripping and roaring and if bigger problems come for the stock market, which would likely translate into crypto as well. But right now, we're still holding here. Dow Jones still sitting on top of its February 2020 all-time high and still sitting on top of the 200-week moving average. But a move that we did see happen today was that this level right here back on July 5th just got taken out here on the Dow. Like we talked about on Monday's video, when we saw that this eventually broke down in here, that's where things really started to gain some speed right here for the next leg down after being unable to really get through the 200 moving average on the 4-hour time frame. We still haven't gotten through there here on Bitcoin. It's still holding itself right now. But this morning with the Dow Jones opening, it did take out that level right there. So here we go. This is a bigger level. This seems like a bigger level than the previous ones that we've been at before because this is our last fib level. And I'm not going to call bottom. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to put my name on it and say I'm calling bottom. But look, that's it, man. You're at the last one. If there's a case for it, if there's a case for the bottom being in, that's it. There's no question. The short-term structure of this thing, ugly as could be. But for the price level that it's gotten to, that's as good a case as any. So as we're heading into this moment, I'm trying to think to myself of the things, what do I want to do to add to my portfolio in the changing times, right? This space has grown a lot over the last year. I've seen all the projects that people have been hyping up a lot throughout the bull run, but I don't buy new stuff, but whether layer one platforms are the things that I might be adding to my portfolio moving forward, that's the thing I'm really looking at right now. Trying to do a lot of research. And you guys know Link2 is a sponsor of this channel. It's where you can invest in private equity and companies if you're an accredited investor. But I talk with these guys all the time. I relay the things that I see you guys say in the comments, see the things that you guys say on Twitter. Private investing, you have to be an accredited investor, right? Not everybody's accredited. And I know they're actively working to try to put together things for non-accredited investors as well. And in particular, a lot of education to help people further their research in looking at investments that they want to make. So if you're not even an accredited investor, you can come over here and sign up and get their newsletter and their research information that they do provide for free. Whether you're just wanting to sign up and get some free information, or if you want to see if you can get accredited over here to invest in companies like Ripple and Uphold, Link2, and all these companies that they have available in here prior to them going IPO. I've talked with them. I've relayed the things that you guys have said. Everybody wants to be included in it, right? Not just accredited investors, but for everyone. And I know they're actively working towards that. So you guys can check them out. There's always a link in the description of each of my videos to link to. But otherwise, I've been trying to further my own research and my own education too within the cryptocurrency market to see what are the things that are important. I mentioned this a week or two ago. I spent a lot of time living in the charts, and I'm trying to spend more time to really understand the cryptocurrency ecosystem in its current phases right now and where it's actually going. So that's kind of the phase I'm in within my life. But either way, I mentioned this in yesterday's videos. I won't be here Monday through Wednesday of next week. I am visiting somebody. A lot of people asked if I was doing another Link2 thing. It's not another Link2 thing. This is me actually just going to go visit someone. So we'll be off Monday through Wednesday of next week. I will not be back until July 21st. Hopefully the markets can keep themselves under control during that time. Otherwise, I'll be active over here on Twitter. And barring anything crazy happening, I'll check you guys out again tomorrow. And I actually mentioned this yesterday that I am trying to take drum lessons, and I have another drum lesson today. So I am praying that there's going to be a day where I come in here and I put a sweet drum video of me playing the drums over here on Twitter. But I haven't mentioned that in a long time. If you're not following me on Twitter, follow me at bcbacker. But otherwise, all right, guys, that's going to be it. That's going to be enough rambling for the end of this video. I want to thank you so much for watching. If you could, please like this video and give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can be notified of when I create new content and when I go live. As always, this is not investment advice and I'm not a financial advisor. But if you ever need a pick-me-up or a little bit of reassurance, just remember that the blockchain backers got your back. Have a good one.